right? So it's just a really quick and easy introduction to network sniffing and understanding why is it a security problem about joining an open Wi-Fi access point. And it's very visual to understand, it's a very visual representation of the security problem of open wireless access points. So DriftNet watches traffic and it picks out and displays JPEGs and GIF images. It also can decode images. GIF. GIF
or GIF?
Look it up.
GIF.
You're all right.
GIF is a peanut butter, dude.
No, according to Wikipedia.
I'm with you, Bill.
Yeah. According to what?
All right. Yeah. Long story short, all you have to do is you say DriftNet-I and you give it your wireless interface. That's it. Connect to the Wi-Fi access point, DriftNet-I wireless access point. I've got it up and running over here on this computer. You can see what people are browsing out there.
Encore.
All right.
Here's Encore. See if I can find my.
Yeah, I think I kind of did that backwards.
Look at that. Arm power.
Kali on ARM.
Go.
Oh, this is Kali running on the pod?
Yeah.
All right.
How many pen testers do we have here?
Woo!
Yeah! Who's rocking this place? All right. So, how many people have ever, decided that you want to find out what kind of application is running on a website, or maybe make believe pen testers? Like, you guys want to, find out some type of application. So, this tool is called WhatWeb. And the ability inside this tool is that if you want to know something about a website, you just run this tool against it and it'll tell you some information. The great thing about this tool is that it has, I think it's 1,500 plugins. So this guy has taken the time and went through every type of, what's that? Because his name's like Brad or something. So,
That's a girl name, Brad.
yeah. But, so what you can do is just take your this tool and sit inside Kali and just do WhatWeb and whatever domain. It's going to tell you some information. Like, for example, maybe you want to know what WordPress version they're running. This tool will tell you. Maybe you want to know what Apache level or IIS version. So any of that information we can go through. So let's scroll down to some screenshots here. Maybe on ARM. So you can run it through a proxy, you can do verbose, you can output this into a log if you need that kind of thing. So right here shows you that I did a host file. So I loaded in Google, Yahoo, and MSN, put all the domains or IP addresses that you're interested in finding out what kind of information. Please act responsible because I'd hate for you guys to go to jail. Another thing you can do with it, it's really interesting, is you can pick an IP address and a port. So that IP address I got from some Russian website, and because they have a search engine in Russia that just shows you all these FTPs and all the great things that people have left open on the internet. So I just ran that on port 21. It says, "Welcome to Pure FTPD." So that really just tells me what type of application. I could go to Google and then do some type of Google foo, maybe just do pure FTPD exploits. The last deal here is a verbose scan, and you can see where it says the domain. It tells you where the website is being hosted and IP address. On this version, it has WordPress 3.3.2, which is I think vulnerable to something. I can't remember what, but that's not. Things. Yeah, it's not up to date. So this is a verbose scan that dumps out all the different information. So one thing I did that I thought was kind of interesting is I looked at Noah's site. I didn't know anyone who was talking tonight. I just scanned with.
Of course you did.
Yeah, of course. And because I wanted to see all the cool things. And which was awesome was that on Noah's site has his email address in there. And it's because he dumped some script in there and it does some regex and pulled out all his email. So this thing is just packed with tools. I mean, 1,500 tools. You can get something out of a website. So that's my talk.
Nice.
Alright, I'm Alex. Today I'm going to tell you about a tool called MSF Update.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Wow. So I was planning on doing a hooking my laptop up and stuff, so I didn't really put a whole lot into this for like as far as screenshots and everything. So sorry about that. But who all has used the tool Durbuster here before? Okay, good. So a lot of you haven't, and so Durbuster is a tool that is really helpful when you're. It's actually kind of similar when you're for enumeration for a website. When you're first looking at a website and trying to figure out what all is on there and trying to find WordPress installs and things like that, it will request directory names, and it has some built-in word lists it can use, and it'll go through and request like /admin, /images, /css, /assets, and whatever's in your word list, and it can actually do that recursively. It has a command line only syntax, which is displayed up here on the wiki, but it also has a GUI, which is really helpful. I probably would recommend using the GUI because the command line crashes a lot more and it's hard to use.
Yeah, what is GUI? Girls use it. Managers use it. Sorry, Alex.
But it's I mean, it's not a perfect tool. It crashes and stuff sometimes, but it's incredibly useful because you'll go in there and you'll be completely stuck, and you'll find like a /DB or something like that, and they have their SQL database sitting out there, and it's something you might not have found otherwise. And it can just completely break open an otherwise secure site because you found some code backup or something like that. It also will show. It also will search by file extension, so you can give it like .php or .asp if you know it's Microsoft or PHP or whatever. And then it will continually, you can pass it file names, and it'll add those extensions on and loop through them. It has some recursive features as well, so you can check boxes to continually scan the folders that it finds. One other thing worth covering is that the word list that comes with it kind of sucks. It's okay, it works, but it's not very thorough. So I recommend using the Raft word list, R-A-F-T. It was compiled, and it's very based on looking at a ton of different Russian websites. So it's actually sorted. Like if you look at the Durbuster word list, by default, there's just some random stuff in there. Like the 20th thing it'll try will be some directory that's never ever found on a website. But
Can you link to that on the wiki?
Yeah. So I recommend using those Raft word lists. They're really good. I think that's it.
So what's I going to get me that making a local copy with httrack?
Well, it'll find stuff. So it's even stuff that's not linked to. So like if it's a /DB or something like that, it's not linked to anywhere on the site. It will find those folders. So it'll request 20,000 different folders and find 7 live ones, and then you now know about those 7 live ones, and you can either explore them if they have the list indexing enabled, or it will. If it isn't, you can just brute force within those directories, and maybe you'll find an index.html, and then you click on that, something that's not, and then you can view the content within that site.
Is there a way to keep somebody out of it?
I mean, basically just remove all the content. Remove all the.
How does it respond to? How does it respond to recursive linked directories?
What's that?
Recursive linked directories. How does it respond to that?
Recursive linked directories?
Yeah.
Oh, it follows directory links.
Okay.
That's
So
You can make a
There is a tool.
Yeah, so you can make some tar pits that'll give this thing a bad time. That's cool.
Don't run this against Iron Ink.
Yeah, right.
Because you will find some directories that you don't want to visit. I'm going to leave it at that.
So one more thing worth mentioning is find out if like Microsoft sites typically or IS sites typically will be case insensitive, and Apache and stuff like that will be case sensitive. So the word lists are sorted. There's case sensitive and case insensitive ones. That way you're requesting capital admin for a Unix directory and not for an IS directory.
Great. All right, guys. Like I said, what we need is some participation. So we're lined up for talks. Actually, I think we're through next month, and we're through next month and potentially the month out from that, right?
Yes.
But what we need is tool talks, right? Like you saw, we're not looking for much. We're looking for a basic introduction to the tool. Come and meet. Come and talk. Let's keep it on the. Keep it on the download. The tools right now we need to keep. Unless I have to think. At least for right now, let's keep it in the Kali toolset, right? So following the Kali.
100%. I think.
No
there's
install.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are here that I don't think were here when we talked about how we're going to build or why we're doing it from the wiki and kind of what. You want to talk about that a little, or?
Well, so the end game, right? The end game is we're going to have a really well-designed, well-indexed wiki, right? We're using structured data sets so that we can index everything. We can show what's related. We can show if I'm looking at a DNS tool, you can click on it and show other DNS tools. We're basically making documentation for the Kali Linux distribution without. We're not working with them to do it. We're doing it for us, right? But what we're looking for is something that SecKC can present to the InfoSec community, right? So in the end, if being a well-documented, well-executed, with examples of all of the different applications in the Kali tool set linked in a wiki. We also have a section for tools that should be or not included in Kali, and we can populate that as we move forward. But for right now, if we can stay with this format and on a tool on that. Now what I'm not saying is maybe with the PowerShell we have a longer talk on it, right? Because with this, what we're looking for is 5 minutes. Here's the introduction to the tool. Here's one example of the tool working. If you want more information, check the manual.
Well, I was just going to say one thing. I guess the one thing I would caution or whatever is don't feel like you need to understand the tool to be able to talk about it. Use that as an opportunity to learn about the tool, and then teach us or whatever. So I would say pick a tool that you either don't know anything about. Bill's just drift dams just in his blood, I think.
Yeah. I pretty much wrote it.
I'm telling. I guess another thing would be how many people have played with Backtrack or Kali? Okay. Do you guys want to do a 5-minute talk? Yeah. Really? Okay, awesome. Because you can make it whatever you want. And I've taken a tool when I went through this. I picked a tool that I had never seen before. I scoured and scoured, and I'm like, Corey, look at this. Corey, look at this. And then I found this one, and he was like, what is that?
Do that. That's what we're doing.
Corey's like, can you show me how to use this right now?
There's going to be some tools like Metasploit and like map and everything that are going to be hard to predict in 5 minutes, right? Right now, so we can. I don't know how we're going to. We don't really know how we're going to handle those, but right now let's pick the obscure ones that we're not familiar with.
I agree. But if you have a tool and you want to talk about it that you're fully blown, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to have a editor to help us, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
JFUD.
Okay. I guess the very last thing. Number one, all the talks will be based off the wiki. No slides. That's the rule. The rules. That way, we fought this. It was right.
Yeah,
but this way, our wiki is up there, right? And so instead of saying, "Well, I made these slides, and I'll make sure I get them in there in a month," right? We present off the wiki. Number two, I want to make sure that everybody knows about the email list, right? So the Google Groups list. Join that. Let's do having participate there.
Do we have that on the website?
No.
Do we have a link? Okay. All right, I'll take it.
So Right now,
Challenge.
just the social. You know, we're gonna come back at 7 o'clock now. What time are we gonna?
You want
Yeah,
to
I
talk about forensics for a minute?
Yeah, right.
I think in 20 minutes or so.
About the non-parking of the group.
You can talk about it. I'm not sure what.
All right. Well, are there any other forensics guys? Is everybody in here pure interest? All right. If you guys have friends that do forensics, I'd actually kicked around starting a local forensics and incident response group, and Bill very forcefully talked me out of doing that because I was thinking about buying the domain the same day that we were going to have the meeting last month. So I've already started adding kind of some of the forensic stuff into that, but instead of fragmenting the local nerd community even more, it's best to go ahead and bring everybody in.
Sure.
And, you know, that way we can talk maybe, because there's a lot of good forensic stuff, not just malware analysis stuff built into Cal.
Sorry to interrupt. What I just heard is you're up next month. Forensic content.
Yes.
What I just heard. All right, so I guess
I actually know you guys. So.
Yeah, we're gonna take like a 20-minute break or so, get some drinks, get something to eat, and then Noah's gonna give his talk.
So socialize is what you're saying?
Yes.
Try.
Try.
meet all the women in the room.
Yeah, right.
Meet all the women.
No, what?
Right. Don't look at your phone for the next 20 minutes. Go meet some